Hello and welcome to the Performance Physique podcast. My name is Arj and I am your head coach. This podcast is all about helping you with your running, your nutrition and your training. We take the jargon out of sports science to help you realise your goals faster than ever before. Let's get started.
Throughout this whole journey of discovering more about running and delving into the world of London Marathon, Arj Thiruchelvam, who is our resident sport expert at BBC Radio London in the afternoons, he's been giving his top tips every single week in the lead up to London Marathon, and he's here, he's with me. You've made it, Arj.
I am here. Thanks for having me, Shay. It's been incredible, isn't it?
It's been fantastic to get all of your top tips throughout the last 4 weeks. But today's London Marathon Day, I want to know from you, on a personal spectator level, firstly, what has it been like seeing all this today?
Well, the London Marathon is more than just an endurance event, isn't it? It's so emotional. You see all these people here from different aspects of life, doing it for different reasons. For me, I always have a bunch of athletes here, so there's a little bit of work involved. But also, to be honest, it's incredibly emotional just seeing people trying to go from maybe point A as a beginner to point B, no matter whether they've done running all their life or it's completely new to them.
Now, you are a sport expert, and so the other reason I wanted you here, you're going to be with me throughout the show. You're my presenter's mate, you're my presenter's friend on Radio London, because I've been really honest, I don't feel I can talk enough about running because I don't have enough knowledge. But you told me off air that if you're a sprinter, you can be a marathon runner. I always thought that wasn't the case.
Yeah, it just takes years and years of training.
Exactly.
No, you can be both individuals. They're very much a blended athlete. You can't be the best at both.
Yeah.
That's the honest truth.
Yeah.
But with a bit of training, adaptation occurs. You can do both of those different events just with some time in between.
So I want to just pick your brains around some of your sports expertise now. As we turn towards our left, we can see the runners crossing the finish line. Some of them are walking over, let's be frank. Some of them are running. How will they be feeling in the last, let's say, 100 yards, 100 meters even, heading towards that finish line?
Yeah, so as you're finishing what might be a 4.5 hour, maybe even longer event, no matter how close you're getting towards that finish line, you and I think, oh, it's only 100 meters. You're actually thinking, I need that finish line to come closer. Your legs are heavy, your lungs are burning, you've lost focus now, you don't know quite where you are on the course, you're just seeing all these crowds and they're willing you on. It's emotional. A lot of people will be crossing that line and crying, and a handful of them will be probably vomiting as well, to be quite honest.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I have seen a few runners on the ground. They're being wrapped up with silver foil. Talk me through that as well.
Yeah, so we want to ensure that every single runner is managed to a safe degree. This is a real maximal event. You can't do a marathon and take it easily, to be quite honest. And therefore your body is working at its absolute maximum. So your heart rate's going up, your ability to process energy is really dwindled now. And a lot of people will start going into perhaps a bit of shock because of the distance that they've covered and the speeds that they've covered. And the easiest thing to do is just be a little bit proactive, make sure you give them some fuel immediately, sit them down immediately. And obviously those silver blankets, they're really good for maintaining your temperature.
And what would your one piece of advice be to someone who's like me? I'm always the person, I'm like the typical mum who's constantly telling my daughter what to do. If you're a family member, you're tuning into Radio London right now, you're on your way to see the marathon runner, to give them the support, should you be overwhelming them with knowledge? Should you just be backing off and taking their lead? What should you, as a supportive, loving person, be doing right now?
That's such a great question. You actually should just be listening. You need to give them a hug, give them some love, and just ask them how they're feeling. Don't tell them about what they did at mile this or mile that. They don't want to hear that. They just want to know that you were watching them and you were supporting them.
Arj, you're going to stay with me throughout the show, aren't you, mate?
Absolutely, I'll be here.
And I'm looking forward to getting some more top tips as well as to what marathon runners need to be doing in the coming 4 weeks.
Yeah, we've got some key advice to cover over those next 4 weeks.
Fantastic, thank you. That's Arj Thiruchelvam there, our sport expert. He's also the founder of Performance Physique. You can get more details on performancephysique.co.uk. He's just strolling. I would be on the floor. I've got sport expert Arj Thiruchelvam with me here. Is that normal? all, Arj.
No, he's walking better than me right now, isn't he? He's looking very calm, very relaxed, and that's clearly what got him through the whole marathon.
He clearly had a winner, mentality, and I think it's fair to say everyone who takes part is a winner. But my goodness, it's quite something seeing just the human feat. This is really superhuman, I think.
It is. It definitely is superhuman. There's such a small percentage of the population who can do this. So if you do it, no matter your time, it's 6 hours, it's 4 hours, it's 3 hours, it doesn't matter. You are one of the smallest populations in the world to actually have achieved a marathon distance. And like Nathan's done there, he's run 5K previously and now suddenly he's running a marathon. It is possible.
And talk to me about some of the athletes that you've been looking after. There's a few that are actually running today, aren't there?
Yeah, we've had about 6 athletes and a whole bunch of friends as well competing this year. We've had some amazing times. We've had some right on the 3-hour mark, which was really painful for them. They wanted to dip into 2, but they'll just have to enter again next year. We've had some people set their personal bests, which is fantastic. And we've had a lady called Catherine. We've been supporting her over the last few months. It's all in aid of Birmingham Children's Hospital. Catherine and her daughter, both 30 years apart, received heart surgery.
Wow.
At the same hospital, and she was just running to raise some money, experience what the London Marathon is all about, and like our guests so far have kind of gotten across, it is amazing, isn't it? This atmosphere, it doesn't matter the challenge, it doesn't matter how you're doing it, this is really about pushing yourself and achieving something for yourself and your family.
And I did want to talk to you about these kind of final moments and what it's like. Because I think Nathan, fantastic, he's able to walk, he's like Shay, he always like he's ready to go again, really. But what were the other thoughts that you wanted to share at this point? We know that, am I right, is it 2 world records today?
That's right, this is a real rarity. We have 2 world records that have occurred today. We have Kenenisa Bekele, he ran the Masters over 40-year-olds world record, and we also have Perez Chepchirra, who basically ran the women's only world record, and both of them absolutely smashed it. We're not talking by little bits, we're talking almost a minute, which is a long way for anything, but when you get to the elite level, that's mind-blowing.
It certainly is. And what are you taking in and soaking in? I would say today is definitely my first London Marathon in its full entirety. I've only ever been a spectator on the sidelines. This is different for me, being here, speaking to so many people. How many London Marathons have you managed to come, and enjoy and support?
The word enjoyment is probably a difficult one.
Okay.
I mean, it's not as bad as the actual runners themselves, but it's incredibly stressful for me. I'm tracking the runners, I'm looking at the times where they should be and where they're actually getting. I'm usually at the halfway mark, which is a great location. But to actually come to the finish line here, you might have seen me earlier just wandering around and just taking it in. It's fantastic. I can't wait to come back. I'm definitely going to come back to the finish next year.
Oh, hands down. And you're going to be with me at the end of the show, aren't you? Because you've been providing a lot of top advice, sports advice for training tips for London Marathon runners. But you told me off air, this isn't just the finish, is it? It's almost like the beginning now for marathon runners.
That's right. We generally find that our people train towards the marathon day, and then tomorrow everything changes. Actually, no, your training should really finish about 4 weeks later because the body needs to adapt. That's what we need to focus on.
Brilliant. So I'll catch up with you a little bit later on in the show. Are you up for that?
Absolutely, let's do it.
Happy days. I think he and I both are going to grab a quick tea because it's getting a bit nippy, I must say. I can't feel my fingers. But we're catching up with Arj. So if you're tuning into Radio London, part of the reason you're listening right now is you've finished the London Marathon, you're on your way home, and you've run the marathon as Arj has just shared there. It's not that the training finishes at the finish line. Oh no, with London Marathon there's a lot more that comes, and he will be giving that top advice after around about 5:35, I would say. We're going to head to a track, and straight after this we'll have a chat with our resident sports expert Arj Thiruchelvam. Throughout the show I felt it was really important to speak to our resident sport expert Arj Thiruchelvam, because I've been really honest, haven't I? I haven't lied about this. I do not understand the human ingenuity that is involved, but there's a lot of training and dedication, isn't there, Arj?
There is a lot. You're playing yourself down, you're being very modest. I heard about your past earlier, but it is very, very challenging to go out there and run those 26.2 miles like those 50,000 individuals have done today.
And I'm going to continue having a chat with you, Arj, because you've got some top tips for those that have run the London Marathon. I'm still here with Arj Thiruchelvam, founder of Performance Physique, sports expert. Arj, in these final moments as we end the show, what are the top tips you want to give to London Marathon runners? Because you said, your words, the marathon doesn't just finish at the finish line. That's the important point. We've got to think about the next 24 hours and the next 30 days.
Exactly that, yeah. So what we noticed that during the marathon, we have a lot of chemical reactions, they're health markers, and we actually keep seeing them increase and the inflammation keep increasing for about 7 days. So it's an awful long period of time where basically we know that we can see a bit of deterioration in our muscle tissue. So there's two schools. There's the group who have finished that finish line, and they're saying, I am never running again, don't let me do it.
Yeah.
And then there's the others who are like, oh, you know what, on Tuesday, how about we all go and do such and such a... For the next few days, the next 3 days, no weights whatsoever. You want to keep things nice and easy, relaxing, but don't stand still either. You have to do some movement.
So are you going to join me on the show tomorrow? Because I feel there's a lot more that we need to share with our listeners. Would you be up for that?
Why not? Let's do it.
What's been the highlight for you? Because as I mentioned earlier, you're working with athletes. You are on a daily basis dealing with the mentality of what it's like for a London Marathon runner. What's it been like for you today?
It's been tremendous, and I think, strangely enough, I'm very much about the data, but the highlight for me was seeing one of my runners drop his energy gel, and a runner behind him picked up the energy gel, sprinted up, handed the gel to him so he could still push through to that finish line. So it's that camaraderie we really see.
So, just again, no weights. You want to keep moving. What about food?
Yeah, eat lots and lots. You're going to be hungry for the next few days, so lots of carbohydrates, lots of protein, lots of hydration. I've seen quite a little bit of hydration going on of a different sort today, so make sure it is also that clear liquid or milk, something like that as well.
And it's not the point then that tomorrow morning you just have like an Epsom salts bath soak and that's it. That's what you're saying, isn't it?
Yeah, there's so much more that needs to go into it. You know, do some stretches, do that stuff which is really boring, which you don't want to do after the end of a run, but make sure you start walking at least by Tuesday, and it needs to be like 30 minutes walk.
When can you then start thinking of, do you know what, I'm going to do a 5K now? Is that a week down the line then?
You're getting competitive already, aren't you, Shay?
Maybe just a little.
The ballot has opened, you know. So we'll start doing some easy running, so nothing intense. That'll basically be around a week to 10 days time. In 2 weeks time, you can start to go a bit faster, and in 3 weeks time, you can start to test yourself once more. But it's a whole month before you really get going.
That's the important aspect. I think it was vitally important for us to speak to you, Arj. As I mentioned earlier, I really am not a sports expert. Thank you for joining me throughout the show and throughout the month with all your expertise. We greatly appreciate it.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Well, we're talking tomorrow, yes?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Happy days. So we'll get more top tips for you to come tomorrow with Arj Thiruchelvam. He'll be joining me live. I'm back with you, of course, tomorrow from 2 p.m. here on BBC Radio London.
Thank you very much for listening to the Performance Physique podcast. Don't forget you can find us on Instagram. It's at performance_physique. You can find us on Facebook, Performance Physique, or if you just head to performancephysique.co.uk, we'll do our very best to help you. It will mean the world to me, though, if you can share this podcast with one friend this week. Right, for now, take care.